Hello, hello again. How is everybody this evening? This is L.A. Kendrick from the House of Havoc, bringing you some more horror, nightly horror. And this is part two of the Madisonville Monster. We're going to jump right into it. Last time we spoke and the story was being told, we talked about Tamika in her last episode, her first and most current episode, um, with whatever that was that bumped her toll booth that night, her and Tony. And a week has passed, and she's made a couple friends, met a couple people. And she ironically met a guy by the name of Kerry. And they go out for a luncheon, and he's driving, and they're talking, and they go to the luncheon spot. And he asks her the question, "Do you like your new job? How you like this? How you like this area?" She's like, "Well, love the new job, but I don't think I'll be staying in this area too long because the job market is really difficult, and she wants to be paid more for what she's, her credentials, her education, her certifications, her backgrounds, her degrees quantify her for. So she doesn't feel that she's going to ever be able to move up in this small area, right? So she then goes to explain to him about the job and some of the things that she's been seeing, and she lets him know, hey, I like the job a lot, but some nights we have a lot of weird things that are happening. And Carrie asks her, "What do you mean, and how so?" And then she tells him about the animal that hit her toll booth, but they've been seeing little flashes of that animal and other animals crossing the toll booth. So much to the point that they had to even activate the floodlights on top of the toll booth that project and give even more light so they can see things better. So Carrie explains to her, "Oh, so you probably seen the wild man." And she's like, "Wild man?" He's like, "Yeah, wild man." And basically a Sasquatch is what the Native Americans call, or what they try to call modernly now, Bigfoot. And she's like, "Really?" And he tells her, yeah, he explains to her, yeah, there are sightings of this kind of creature in every state, with the exception of Hawaii. And probably because Hawaii is so isolated with the ocean on all sides. And she's like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." And they're sitting down eating and having a good time and having good conversation. He goes on to explain that in the Kentucky region, in our area, it's always a rash of sightings of it, and that she's not the first to see it, won't be the last, especially around certain times, and especially out there near the toll booth where she's working. And she says, "Well, how do you know so much about it?" And he said, "Well, when we get done eating, I'm going to take you to Prosperity Lane, which is where I grew up, and my stepfather's farm. I'm going to let you see, just how, what we had to face when we went through, because I've seen and experienced a lot of what you're talking about right now. We'd see flashes. We had a lot of ducks and chickens on the farm, and they would come up missing periodically." And then he explained also that he would see flashes of this creature, and it would scare him, and he would hear really weird noises and moans off into the woods, the wood line in the woods from where he lived. And she says, "Quit playing." And he says, "Okay, I'll show you." So they pay the tab, they get up, and they leave, and they drive to Prosperity Lane. And again, it's really close to the toll booth going into Madisonville. And she sees the farm, she sees where his stepdad and mom and family, the land that they used to own, or the land that they currently still own. And he's explaining to her then, and she's like, "Wow, it's a lot of wooded area out here." And he said, "Yeah, my other family members, my grandmother lives on the top of the hill. She's still up there." And she says, "Wow, really?" And he says, "So imagine there's no light pollution or noise pollution out here. Now you can see the stars, everything looks like heaven just opened up when you're looking up. But there's always these sightings here. And occasionally my stepdad would fire off his gun to scare off whatever we thought this thing was. But again, it didn't come often, but it was often enough to scare me. And he always told me not to go into the woods by myself. And my mom said the same thing. So I really took heed to what they were saying. And I never went out past a certain time. And she's like, wow, unbelievable. And so he takes her back home after showing her that. And he said, if you want to know more about it, there's a vast history about it here in Hopkinsville. If you go to the public library, you can find a lot of information on it. And she says, I'll do that. And she does, and she starts researching it. Once she gets to the public library, she starts researching everything. And once she does this, she uncovers a lot of frightening incidents that date all the way back to like the 1700s, where settlers had come in, colonizers had come in, and they're seeing this huge ape-like man creature, and they can't figure out what it is. So now she's a little bit scared, a little bit frightened, and she's feeling like, okay, now I have somewhat some of the answers. Even though she can't still identify what this is, this kind of ties into what she's seeing. So she has a general base for what she could be possibly seeing and what made that incredibly loud noise, scream, holler that sounded like someone was being bloody, was being murdered. And so, she wraps up and she checks out the books. Yeah, they still check out books. And she checks out the books. At that time, she checks out the books. She checks out the books, and she goes home. And she's reading a little bit of it still, and then she goes to sleep before her shift starts, and then she wakes right up again. She gets in the car. She leaves the books at home, but she goes to her work area, to the toll booth, her job. And when she does this, she lets Tony know what's going on, and she explains to Tony. And Tony's like, wow, you really believe that? And she says, well, you're from this area and you don't believe this? And he's like, well, I've heard bits and pieces about things like that. And we haven't really been seeing anything here lately because it's been, there's been no fog, and you'll see flashes of something run across the road. He said, but we're pretty good now. I haven't seen anything. And she said, yeah, but I'm still uneasy about what we are seeing still to this point, to this time. So the night goes again without any, it's like 11, 12 o'clock at night, and the night is going smoothly for them both. Traffic starts slowing down. They start, reading their books or whatever they have to keep them occupied. And that's when it starts. This is when it becomes extremely traumatizing, and this is when everything takes an absolute turn for the worse for the two. So we're going to leave it there. This has been part 2 of the Madisonville Monster. We're going to close it out with part 3 of the Madisonville Monster in a couple of days. So again, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Please leave a comment. Let me know how I'm doing so that I can figure out things that I need to improve on, and then you guys help me with the things that I can improve on. And thanks for all the donations that you guys are providing. It really does help. Thanks for all the viewership. And again, this is just entertainment for you guys to, stories that I have that I haven't written about, so that I have already. Just rough draft things, or just sitting around, and I'm just sharing this information with you guys. Of course, the stuff is mostly, it's copyrighted. And again, if you want to donate to my Cash App, it's $outrage95. And I have already published work out right now, so guys, feel free to check them out on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Ingram & Taylor, Nuke, and Kindle, right? Check it out. I already have published work out right now. I'm trying to get these 2 new books, stories that I've already finished, that are really good stories. They're tied into my Benefits of a Bully series, and also my Destiny versus Chaos series. Okay, so I have something for the young people and the adults. Great work, hard work. I've been at it for quite a while. Again, this is L.A. Kendrick from the House of Havoc. Remember, check your closets. Check the dark recesses of your room. Check under your bed. And if you happen to work at night, check your surroundings and check under your car, because you never know what's lurking, waiting to make you a story. And this has been L.A. Kendrick, bringing you the heavy.